Hello and welcome. I thought for a change of pace today, we'd try something a little bit different. The other day, I had a kind of a pull in my middle back from Lord knows what, and I was doing some movements that were very specific movements that would move that area, that work on range of motion. Contract the muscles, lengthen the muscle. And I thought, there's lots of different movements that are very specific to specific areas and specific muscle groups. And maybe it would be fun to do a sequence and just say, okay, we're going to target this muscle group or this area and then do a movement or two for it. And so I thought that's what we do today. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the feet and we're going to work our way up the body and we're going to do specific movements for specific areas. So it's a little bit different than your usual yoga sequence, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. And we'll finish way up here at the top with the neck. So let me see if there's anything we need to. Okay, looks okay. Looks all right. Let's get started then. What we're going to start with is going to be our feet and specifically our toes. So I'd like you to start with your feet about hip width apart and your feet parallel. So not splayed, not pigeon-toed, feet parallel. Little tiny bend in the knees. And what we're going to start with is the toes. So I'd like you to take the right foot toes and dig them into the ground. Push down strongly, all 5 toes. It's going to push you over to the left side. And then when you're over here, push all 5 left toes down. And drift to the right. Press down with the right toes. Down with the left toes. Down with the right toes. There we go. We're going to move nice and slowly. Inhale as we push the toes. Exhale and release them. Inhale, push the other side. And release them. There we go. Nice. All right, let's come back to center. We're going to find 3 points on each foot. Base of the big toe, base of the pinky, and the center of the heel. So 3 points, a lopsided triangle. Try to balance the pressure into the mat on all 3 points. And then bring your attention to the big toe point. We're going to lift the big toe point up. So we're standing on the outer edge of the foot. And then roll back, balance all 3 points, and then lift the outer edge, the pinky toe point, and release. So on each inhale, we'll lift the inner, exhale down. Inhale, lift the outer edge, the pinky toe point. Exhale down. Inhale, lift the inner. Exhale down. Let's do a few of those. Inhale, lift one edge of the foot. Exhale down. And release. All right. Let's bring our attention to the calves. We're going to start with the calves in a sumo position. So your feet are going to be about 3 feet apart. And we are going to take on that nice long back. So remember, a long back is like you've got your arms lifted. Nice long curve from the head all the way down to the butt. So a nice long back in sumo position. Feet are going to be angled out just a little bit. And we're going to squat very tiny, and we're going to lift the heels very slightly off the mat. And with the heels lifted, we're going to straighten the right leg. So we're going to shift left, and then we straighten the left leg. So we switch side to side, bending a knee, coming up, bending a knee. So here's how our movement works with the breath. Exhale as we come down and bend the knee. Inhale back to center. Exhale to the other side. Back to center. Exhale. Inhale. There we go. All right. And let's switch this up a little bit. Let's glide side to side. So instead of coming up in the center like this, let's start with the hips at this level above the floor and just slide from one side to the other. Heels stay lifted a tiny bit off the floor. Side to side. There we go. Come to center. Heels still lifted. Put those heels down. Come on out. All right. We're going to continue with the calves, and we're going to do a movement with the knee, which will make it kind of in a teardrop shape. So let me show you how we're going to set up for that. So the left foot, in my case, is at about a 45-degree angle, and the right foot is straight. So if I had a mat here, my left foot would be towards the outer edge of the left side of the mat. My right foot would be towards the outer edge of the right side of the mat. And what we're going to do in this case is we're going to bring our knee forward so that the shin is vertical. And then we're going to come back out again. What we're going to do is move the knee in a teardrop shape. So the knee, if my hand is substituting for my knee, the knee is going to move down, swing around, and come back up. Then down, swing around, and come back up. So this is what it's going to look like from a front-on view. Then I'm going to come down the outside, come to the inner. There we go. So each time we alter which side we come down on and which side we come up on. Let's do one more on this side, and then let's switch sides to the second side. So in my case, right foot is back, left foot is straight. And then I'm going to start with my knee coming to the inside, roll to the outside and up, down on the outside, come across to the inside and up. When I come down, my knee is not moving all that much farther until the shin is vertical. So I'm not taking the knee way out over the toes. The shin is staying very close to vertical. Let's do one more here. All right, now let's go to the first side. What we're going to do is focus specifically on the calves. And the way we're going to do that is that we're going to very slightly lift the front foot heel. So in my case, the right foot heel is going to be lifted. I'm going to keep it lifted through that same teardrop shaped motion. So here goes the knee on the inside, swings over to the outside, and comes up. On the outside, inside, and up. Might be helpful to show you what this looks like from the side. So the knee's coming on the outside, swinging across, coming back up. Looks like this view is not as clear as the first view. Okay, come on up, keep your feet where they're at. So what we're focusing on right now is the calves, and we're going to make a minor modification here, and we're going to work on the quads. And the way we do that is instead of lifting the heel, we're going to lift the front of the foot. And again, it's a very small lift, really just an unweight. So lift the front of the foot, come down, come to the outside, come up, come down, come to the inside, and up. So it's the same knee movement. We're just keeping the front of the foot lifted. Come down, come up, and release. Let's go to the second side. So the second side, we'll start with the heel lifted, and then we'll lift the forefoot. So lift the heel, tiny bit, down on the inside, down on the outside. Heel stays lifted. All right, and now let's shift that over, lift the forefoot, and continue with the same basic movement. You may notice that the action changes quite dramatically from calves to quads when you lift the front of the foot off the mat. All right, let's continue with the quads since we just started a little bit there. What we're going to do is two different variations on the butt drop. And the first one we're going to do from table position. So let's start in the table position. I'm going to take the right leg straight back, and then we're going to drop the butt back and down. Come back up so the thigh is vertical. Bring that leg down, left leg straight up, drop back, come back up, leg down. So there's our movement. What we're going to do in terms of breath work is exhale as we come down, inhale as we come up. Exhale down, inhale up. Exhale down, inhale up. Let's do a couple more on your own. And release. All right. We're going to do one more focusing on the quads, and that is going to be another butt drop variation. In this case, we're going to do elevator and then a butt drop. And what it's going to look like is this. So we're going to start in table. We're going to curl the toes under though, so that your toes are under and you can lift up. So here's what elevator looks like. Not much to see, but you'll notice here, if you look at my knees, they're not on the ground any longer. They're lifted a tiny little bit. So that's elevator. That's all elevator is. What we're going to do is we're going to do elevator. So again, notice my knees, they're free, they're lifted. And then we're going to do butt drop, which bring the butt down towards the heels, keeping the knees lifted. I'm going to come back to elevator and release down. So here's the breath work. Inhale as you lift your knees and come back. Exhale and come down. So let's do a few of those on your own. You're in charge of your own movement here. So if this is uncomfortable, you could certainly do the other variation where the leg is lifted instead of both legs lifted. So let's do a few together. If this is uncomfortable, revert back to the previous movement. Elevator, butt drop, elevator, and down. Let's do a couple more. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more. And release. All right. Hopefully that got your quads woken up and maybe even screaming a little bit. We're going to move our attention to the upper inner thighs, and we're going to do this movement from constructive rest pose, which looks like this. Here's constructive rest pose. What we're going to do is we're going to start with the thighs vertical. Feet are going to be lifted off the ground, hands behind your head. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one knee down. So in this case, this is my left knee. So left knee drops down towards the ground. The right knee pushes up towards the ceiling. And we come back to center. Might be easier to see if I showed you from this angle. So one knee comes down, the other pushes up towards the ceiling. So the breath work here is exhale as the knee comes down, inhale as the knee comes back to center. Exhale down, inhale up. So you should continue at your own breath pace. Exhale down, inhale up. Let's do one more each side. And release. That particular movement is really good for the inner upper thighs. And we're going to move a little bit higher into the psoas, which is located very low in the torso. And it is one of the muscles that allows your legs to move in this sort of movement where the knee comes in towards the chest. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with thighs vertical. And on an inhale, the left knee is going to move. This is my left knee, is going to move in towards my chest. The right knee is going to move out until the toe taps. On the exhale, I'm going to reverse that so that the legs move in opposite directions with each breath cycle. So here's an inhale, here's an exhale. Inhale, exhale. I'm going to let you go on your own here. It's important to stay nice and smooth, and each breath cycle, the knees will move from one position to the other position. And go ahead and release. Take a moment to just relax, settle in, and just feel what you feel from that particular movement. So we're going to change from the psoas to the very low obliques down in the lower front torso. And the way we're going to do that is again from constructive rest pose. When you come into constructive rest pose with your knees, your thighs vertical, you'll notice there's pressure across the lower part of the pelvis. What I'd like you to do is to notice where that pressure is. And what we're going to do is we're going to move the knees away from your head so that the pressure point shifts down closer towards your tailbone. So you'll notice as you move your knees further away from your head, that pressure point slides down the pelvis. And then as you move your knees up, that pressure point comes up the pelvis. At some point, you'll hit the pelvic crest in the back. And if you continue further, your pelvis is going to actually be tilted back a little bit with your lumbar curve pretty much flat on the ground. So we're going to do that movement, but we're going to do it with a side-to-side movement of the knees. And let's see if this, the three-quarter view, makes better sense. So we're going to start by just moving the knees to one side, back to center, to the other side. And then as we move the knees, we're going to move them a little bit away from the head and notice how the pressure point moves down from the starting point down towards your tailbone. And then as you come out to something like this, with your knees fairly far away, pressure point's going to be down towards your tailbone. And then we're slowly going to reverse that and very slowly bring the knees back in towards the vertical. And we're going to continue past vertical so that the knees start coming in
towards your chest. And you'll notice that the pressure point, at least for me right now, is right up at the pelvic crest on the back of the body. And as I bring the knees in a little further, the pressure point is actually on the lumbar. So do a few movements like this with the knees pulled in as close towards your chest as you can. Come back to center and release. Very nice. So that was the obliques. They're low in the torso and they help you to twist as the upper half stays stable, the lower half moves. We're going to do one more with the obliques. This is going to be the upper obliques right near the ribs. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to put our hands with the thumbs into your armpit so that your arms kind of form an X like this. And we're going to keep that X and we're going to bring the elbows so that they point up straight towards the ceiling. And then from this position, I'm going to switch around so you can see a little better. From this position, we're going to keep the hips planted level into the mat. We're going to lift a shoulder, come back to center, lift the opposite shoulder, back to center. And the breath work here is inhale as you twist, exhale to the side. Inhale, exhale. And release. Very nice. That's it for the obliques. I think what we'll do next is we're going to move a little bit up the body to the hamstrings, and we're going to do that from a standing position. Move my mats back together. So hamstrings, right here. We're going to do a simple forward flexion. So we need to start with a nice long back. And a long back, as you may recall, is where you have a back position like your arms are lifted. So there's a long curve from your butt all the way up through the head, as if you had lifted your arms up like that. Some of us may find putting our hands behind or even pushing them back a little bit behind you helps with that long back. But we'll start with a long back and a little bit of a knee bend. And we're going to do just a very simple range of motion with the hamstrings. So we're going to keep the knees where they're at. We're going to move just from the hips. The back stays nice and stable. Come on down. Come on back up. So that's our movement right there. Forward flexion. So you can experiment a little with maybe a couple of shallow forward flexions. You could maybe try, see how it feels to do a deep forward flexion. And you may also want to try pushing the hips forward when you come into an up position. So push the hips forward. Come down. So what we're doing here is we're lengthening the hamstrings as we come forward. then the hamstrings start to contract. And if you're pushing your hips forward, the hamstrings contract even further. So we're basically doing complete range of motion for the hamstrings. The breath work here is exhale as you come down, inhale up, exhale down, inhale up. And if you'd like a little more challenge, lift one of your heels and continue. Exhale down, inhale up, put the right heel down, lift the left heel. Switch heels each time you come to a vertical position. And if you'd like a little bit more challenge, what you can do is instead of just lifting the heel, lift the entire foot off the ground as you flex forward. Now, you're not going to be able to come as deep into a forward flex, so I'm going to lift my right foot into forward flexion, come back to vertical, put the right foot down, lift the left foot, put it down. So here's what it looks like from a front view. And release. All right, so that was hamstrings. We're going to move up a little bit to the glutes. And we're going to do two different movements there. One is going to be a simple forward flexion with a bit of a twist. And then we're going to do some free leg swings, which is more balance oriented. So here's what the first one looks like. We're going to start in the same basic position as we used for the forward flex that we just did. So a little bit of bend in the knees, nice long back, and we're going to flex forward a little bit, and then we're going to move one knee forward and one knee back. So here's my left knee forward, my right knee back. Come back to center. Right knee forward, left knee back. Come to center. And the breath work here is exhale as knees move, inhale to center. See if I can turn this way if that is easier to visualize. Forward flexion, one knee forward, one knee back, and then reverse that. So each breath cycle, here's inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. If you want a little more intensity, if you come down a little further, come back to center, come on back up. Very nice. So one more that we'll do for the glutes, and that is just a free swinging leg. So anytime you are creating pelvic rotation, the glutes are going to be involved from a standing position. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in standing mountain, lift one foot. We're going to take that foot and just swing it towards the front of the mat so the pelvis rotates. And then we're going to bring the foot back so that the pelvis rotates. So we're just really rotating the pelvis to the left and then to the right. So we'll just do, let's say 3 or 4. Let's see, that was 3, 4. Come back to center, put that foot down. So let's lift the other leg. We'll do 4. Come back to center. Let's do 2 more on each side, just to exercise that a little bit farther. So I'm lifting my right leg, swing that leg forward, let the pelvis rotate around, and then let it reverse that rotation. So there's 2 on that side. Let's do 2 more on the second side. And release. All right, let's look at the lower back. So we're talking the lumbar area right here. And what we're going to do to target the lower back is a position where we lift the arms. So here's what it's going to look like from a side view. We're going to start by looking at your feet. And I want you to take your knees forward until your knees are even with the tips of your toes. So in my case, that means the knees are about this far forward. So here's straight, there's knees at my toes. And then we're going to keep the knees right where they're at, and we're going to move the arms. So as we inhale, the arms come up, exhale, arms come down. Your gaze is going to follow your hands. So as the arms lift, head is lifted, gaze is up. As the hands come down, your gaze is down. So you'll notice this is a version of cat-cow. Here's cow. Here's cat with the arched back. So inhale as we lift. Exhale as we come down. If you'd like to add a little more excitement to this movement, what you can do is when you hit the end of your lift, add a little bit of a twist to it. So here's what it would look like. Inhale up and twist. Exhale down. Inhale up, twist to the other side. Exhale down. Inhale up and twist. Exhale down. Inhale up, twist. Exhale down. Let's do 1 more each side. and release. Take a little stroll around. I know when I do that movement, I can definitely feel it here in the lower back, in the lumbar area. So let's shift our attention from the low back to the mid back, middle of the back here. And what we're going to do for the mid back is kind of a spinal extension and a twist combined. And this is what it's going to look like. So we start in standing mountain. We're going to take our right leg forward and a little bit across the body. So it's going to be basically in front of the planted leg. So notice that movement, forward and a little bit in. Now we're going to take the same side shoulder. So if I'm moving my right leg, I'm going to take my right shoulder and I'm going to move it as far away from the right foot as I can. So what that means is I'm going to lift it and bring it back. And then I'm going to release. Second side, left foot goes forward and a little in front of the planted foot. Left shoulder moves up and away from that left foot. So the left foot and left shoulder move far away from each other as you can smoothly and comfortably do. So here's our inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Let's do a couple more each side. So you want to extend that leg, and then the same side shoulder moves as far away from that foot as it can. We're going to do one more each side. Here's the right. And release. Take a couple of breaths. So that was mid back. We're going to move into the upper back and the trapezius muscles that straddle the shoulder blades, wrap up over the neck. What we're going to do for the trapezius is a kind of an airplane pose. Let me demonstrate it while I'm standing. We'll be down on our bellies in prone mountain. We're going to be on our bellies like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to lift the arms and bring them back down again. So lift the arms, bring them down. We're going to move them about 10, 20 degrees. Lift, bring them down, move a little bit more. Lift, bring them down. Lift, bring them down. And then once we hit here, we'll lift, bring them down, and then we'll work our way back up. And we're not going to stop here at 90 degrees. We're going to bring the arms a little farther and continue. Move back a little so you can see. We're going to continue moving the arms forward and then lifting. And at some point, you're going to stop. The shoulders won't move any further, and you'll just stop. My shoulders are a little messed up, especially my left one. It doesn't lift nearly as well as the right. So I'm going to come down into prone mountain, and let's have a go with that. So here's prone mountain. Start with your hands straight to the side, and fingertips can be on the ground. And we lift up, bring the hands down, and then move them about 10 to 20 degrees down towards the knees. Lift, down, move the arms, lift, down, move the arms. The breath work here is inhale as you lift, exhale as you come down. Once your hands are down next to your hips, we're going to reverse the movement. The hands are going to come up. You're going to want to let your collarbones sink down towards the mat. And I've hit my 90 degrees. I'm going to continue past. And when you've reached your end point, go ahead and release. And just take a minute just to relax and feel what's going on. Backs of the shoulders, upper back, middle back from doing that trapezius arm lift. We're going to shift again. We're going to focus on the triceps, so the back of the upper arm. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to start in a table position. We're going to bring our hands a little bit closer together than we typically do. We usually have our hands a little wider than shoulder width. In this case, I'd like them at shoulder width or maybe even a little bit closer. And the movement that we're going to do to start here is we're going to take the elbows and drop them straight down towards the mat until they almost touch. So they're hovering above the mat. Then we're going to come back up. Drop straight down. Come back up. The breath work here is exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. I'm going to shift around so you can see it from the front. Exhale down. Inhale up. You'll notice when I bring the elbows down, they line up almost like a sphinx position with both arms parallel to each other. Exhale down. Inhale up. Let's do one more. All right. We're going to do one more movement here for the triceps, the back of the upper arms. And it is called elbow dog. So the basic position is similar to what you see in up dog, but we're going to be on our forearms. So from the hands to the elbows will be into the mat. And this is what it looks like. So we start with the hands in a similar position and the feet with the toes curled under. And then from this position, we're going to lift the hips up so that we have that nice long back. And notice that you're holding a lot of weight here on your triceps. If you'd like a little more excitement, you can take the body forward and come back to vertical. Forward and up. Forward and up. Let's do one more. Bring the knees down and release. There we go. We're going to take a look at the pecs, the upper front of the chest. And what we're going to do for the pecs is a version of knee plank where we'll drop alternate shoulders. So this is what it'll look like. Let's look at a side view to start with. So knee plank, we're going to pull the heels in and drop the hips down so that we have a nice straight line from the knee, hip, shoulder, and then the ear. So hips come down. This is knee plank. And what we're going to do from knee plank is that we are going to drop alternate shoulders. So I'm going to drop my right shoulder down, come back up. Left shoulder, come back up. There we go. So we hold the plank. We keep the heels pulled in close to the body. We just drop alternate shoulders. One arm stays straight, one arm bends to let the shoulder drop down and swing towards the other arm. Let's do one more each side. And come on out. All right, we have one more, and we're going to do a little work with the neck. I'm going to grab. So here's what we're going to do. I'd like you to sit kind of at the front edge of the chair and sit with that nice long back. And what we're going to do is some neck movement with the breath. And we're going to take the neck to the right, come back to center, and then we're going to take the neck to the left, back to center. So that's the basic movement. We're going to keep that nice long back. The head is an extension of that back, so that nice, straight, lifted, dignified position. So here's our breath movement. Exhale to one side. Inhale to center. Exhale to the other side. Inhale to center. I'll let you do a few of these on your own. Exhale to the side. Inhale to center. And then let's modify this a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to add a chin tuck. So here's what it looks like. We're going to exhale to the side, and then we're going to take the chin and drop it straight down towards the floor. Inhale up to center. Exhale, drop the chin. Inhale up. Exhale to the side. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. So let's continue that. We'll just do it on our own, and I'll stop counting it out. And release. So I think we'll do a little bit of Shavasana.
a little bit of rest. You could do on the mat if you wish, on the chair if you wish. I think what we'll focus on today is just deep relaxation. So if you want to move back to your mat or do it from chair, what I'd like you to do is to just picture each of the different areas in your body and move from the feet up as we did today, and just let each of those different areas relax. So we'll take about 6, 7 minutes here. We're going to run a little bit past 3:30, but hopefully that'll be okay with everyone. Take your next inhale a little bit deeper and follow it with a nice slow exhale. And then let your breath go back to its usual rhythms. And let's think about moving. If you're on the mat, roll to the side and come on up to a seated position. If you're still on the chair, stretch things a little bit, wake the body back up. Bring your hands together. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you had a good time. I hope it feels good. And if there are any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the chat. Thank you.